Welcome back to Innate State. We have an interesting guest today, Michaela, who's joining us, and we're going to get first into our 10 minute or, well, 5 to 10 minute meditation just to center ourselves and then go into a nice discussion.
Great.
All right, let's do it. Just a silent meditation. Okay. Just take a few deep breaths. And as you breathe out, just allow yourself to relax a little bit more on each out breath. can slowly bring yourself out of the meditation. Michaela,
Yes,
thank you for coming.
it's my pleasure.
Welcome. Russell, once again,
It's a pleasure.
nice to see you. How did that feel?
Good, I'm still a bit zoned out actually.
But it settles you,
Yes.
like kind of, and I say it every time, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's like you kind of, you come from a different place. Like maybe on your way, you were like thinking this and that and what we're going to be doing, etc. Now it's a clean slate in a sense. Don't you feel that?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, you kind of starting fresh,
Yes, yes.
you
Clear
know?
mind.
You know, not too much thinking activity going on and stuff.
Mm.
You do some meditation, am I right?
Yes, I do daily meditation.
Do you?
Yeah.
And I mean, how do you find it benefits you?
Well, when I started meditating, that was hard.
Mm.
And,
Yeah, initially it's a struggle.
because it's kind of, it gets in the way.
Mm.
You know, when you start meditating, because, oh, damn, I still need to sit down and meditate. And
Taking up my time.
so years back, I started a course through England. It was a meditation sundial house course, and
Okay.
it kind of forced me into sitting and doing the exercises and stuff. And it was a real chore then. But I think over a couple of years, you kind of, you know, people think meditation is to just calm everything, but actually, for me, meditation is time to become the observer. That's how I started doing my meditation.
Yes.
And that's when I started enjoying it. Where I think, right now, fine, I'm going to sit and I'm going to watch my thoughts. I'm not going to calm them down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have the expectation of getting out of the meditation and, oh, that was good.
Yeah. Or how long is it? I'm going to get out.
Yeah.
You
So,
kind of.
so no, it was devoted time to getting to
Yeah.
know the talker in their head.
Yeah.
And that's when meditation actually became more meaningful. And then a couple of months or a year later, I realized what has happened. You don't actually notice
You
it.
don't notice it initially.
No, but
Yeah.
that when you sit and you watch, that where you are sitting is where the calm is. And then that became even more devoted to doing regular meditation, is to teach yourself, because you don't know how to be in the observer state and
Yeah. So
all the time.
I just want to add to that, and also it carries on into your day, into your life.
Yeah, well, that's the
That's
aim,
when that
and
starts
the aim and
happening.
goal is to
Yeah.
actually remain in the observer
Yeah.
seat, in the life, in life,
In general.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
how meditation has actually worked for me. So yeah, I have no problem sitting up
And also you made it into, it's a habit. It's become a norm, a
yes,
practice. Initially, it is like, oh, I'm so busy with my life, and now I've got to take 20 minutes, for instance, and out of my busy schedule. But then you just make time for it.
yeah.
You
Well,
know, initially people battle
when
like
you
that.
know what it does for you and why you're doing it, because if you go with the intent to calm the mind and come out calmer, then you can't suppress the mind. You've
No.
actually just got to listen,
Yeah.
and then eventually you get quite bored with it. And when you get bored with the
All the
mind,
chit
then
chat.
yeah, then you actually become, you know, then you know why the reason for it is there.
Yeah.
So I guess we sometimes just get the wrong idea around meditation.
I think so.
So
And like you're saying, everyone's got a different idea of what they want to get out of it.
Is it
Yeah.
important to have an intent when you meditate?
my intent was just to sit and observe the noise in my head.
Okay.
Because, you know, we don't actually take the time to see what's actually going on in there.
Yeah.
And the way I see the noise in my head is more like I'm watching ancestral behavior coming through, because your noise in your head is actually something you adopt from your parents' noise in their head, which they adopted from their parents' noise in their head, and so I also have become quite keen in learning about history, because it
Okay, in
kind of
that sense.
explains.
Yeah, I haven't thought of it in that sense, I'll be
Yeah, it
honest.
explains a
Yeah.
lot of why people are how, what, and when. And also, along the way of my meditation path, I also came to learn that I have a gene, a comp gene that's slow, that doesn't break down adrenaline.
Okay.
And if you can't break down adrenaline, you generally are in a state of anxiety all the time.
Continuously, yeah.
So when I learned that, then I thought, well, it's even more important to now really get to know your thoughts and drop them, because the thoughts is what causes your anxiety.
The stress, I know.
Yeah. So so I'm quite good with meditation, and those are some of my intents, to actually just rather live in the reality of what is, and not
But
go
it takes
to.
time. It takes time to get to a
Yeah.
place where you
Yeah.
can be in that observer and realize that you aren't the thoughts. And I think the misconception a lot of people have is that they think they can control thoughts. And you can't actually control thoughts,
No.
but you can observe. And through meditation, you can transcend the thoughts to a place of stillness, where eventually the thoughts float, or it
Well, you
becomes
get
still.
bored with them.
Yeah, but they eventually, like what
Yeah.
I find is that you get to a place where there's stillness, but in a deep meditation, people will get there. Perhaps not everyone, but they can transcend that kind of thinking. But that doesn't mean once they come out of their meditation that it's going to stay away. It's 5 minutes later the
Yeah.
chit chat comes back.
Yeah.
But it's a start,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's a start, and it's
I think a lot of
and
perseverance
a
and a lot of
perseverance.
practice.
I know.
It's not, we live in an instant, society, so we kind of expect it to happen quickly.
You're right.
But in my experience,
it doesn't work like that.
I've been spiritually
Yeah,
working on
yeah.
myself since I was 18.
Oh, really? Is that where you? How did that come about? Tell me. I don't know that part.
You know what? There was a place called Soham Sanctuary. It
Okay.
was a homeopathic clinic, a free clinic. My homeopath was there, and so she came all from the Eastern, so she was a Swami. We called her Mataji.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I had a lot of spiritual influence. My mom went there, and then my mom brought her tapes home to re-listen to them, and then she put them on full blast, so that while I was studying for matric, that I could listen.
Okay. Just as a good background influence.
Yeah, well,
guess.
I remember studying, and I heard Mataji on the tape saying, you are God. And I'm like, okay. In the middle of my,
All
what
right.
do you
Whatever
mean
you
about
say.
So I guess
Yeah.
it came always at the right time. But I took a gap year, and in that gap year, I worked at Soham Sanctuary in the dispensary. And I guess also because I had free time, I went to her lectures on a Wednesday morning, and so that was an early influence into
No, it's just
into
interesting
spirituality.
because it's different
Yeah.
for everyone. When people suddenly something clicks and they get
Yeah.
drawn to certain spiritual practices or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
did that obviously? Not saying obviously, but that sounds like that influenced you to become a homeopath, or not
No,
directly.
I think I was already playing with my Legos and bandaging them up, and playing doctor already.
Were you?
At a young age? Yeah.
So it was kind
So
of
there was
something was already talking.
Yeah, something into a medical field. I just didn't know.
You didn't know if it would
well,
be a
it-
general medicine or
Yeah, it might have even
alternative.
been, dental technology, or it would have been something. But my
Okay.
mom, actually, she's been a great influence. She says, you know what, the homeopathic courses just started in Durban, and then that was a no-brainer after that.
You're
So,
like, okay.
and I mean, I grew up homeopathic all my life. So
We used to also go to homeopaths, and I remember the one was an Indian guy in Joburg,
Yeah.
in Newtown side,
yeah,
and his name was Dr. Ramtula, and he would just be like giving you these pills, and
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
like Fordsburg, so that side of town,
yeah, I think people travelled far to see
yeah.
homeopaths in those days.
There weren't many around, and
No,
my
so-
folks were always into kind of
Yeah.
alternative medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you want to give us a bit of a background on homeopathy for people that don't really know? Because I know it's been around a long time, but nowadays there's so many other like so-called natural
Well,
healing modalities and
yeah,
whatever, but homeopathy is one of the original
yeah.
in that sense. Hey?
Homeopathy goes
No,
back
not like
over.
China. Is it? What's it related to? Is it like? I mean, where
Um,
did it start?
it started in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they found that potentized remedies, and I'll explain that,
Yeah.
cured things. So, for instance, if onion, when you're cutting it, causes streaming eyes and a runny nose, they found if you took the onion juice and you potentized it up, meaning taking 1 drop of onion juice into 2 mils of alcohol, and you break it
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
and you take 1 drop of that and you dilute it into another 2 mils of alcohol, and you succuss it up and you break it even down further, that if you give that to people with similar symptoms like a cold, it cured them.
Because
So
it's more potent. In a sense, like you say, you potentize
I
it.
think
What
you
does that
take,
mean? Make
it's
it
kind of frequency
a
medicine.
stronger effect on the system?
Yeah, it's treating like frequencies with like symptoms, and when you match the like frequency medicine to the like symptoms, it cures the symptom.
Oh, wow.
So
So if you got a runny nose, you make your nose run. Is that what you say?
sometimes it does do that,
Okay.
but it should clear it up for you.
Yes. Yeah.
So like even if you do homeopathic nose oats, which is like the measles bug, you can do the same dilution. And then give it to someone as a preventative for measles, but you can also treat them with it.
And for you, like, how do you like? So say you need to give someone medication, for instance. Um, do you how do you kind of work out your quantities, etc.? Or do you potentize it as well in some way?
Well, we get the medicines already
You
potentized
get it
for
done.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it is a like treating like, and it's using plant material, even minerals, because you can do that, like mineral deficiencies, and like califos is a very good mineral for brain and nervous system and stuff. And there's Schussler salts, they've diluted it up to 6 times, and then you give it to people, and it actually helps strengthen their mind and their memory
Okay.
and their nervous system. So it treats anxiety,
So if you
depression.
look at homeopathy kind of as a whole, and you compare it, I mean, there's a place for general medicine as well. There's a place for homeopathy. Am I right?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
there is a place for
Absolutely.
both. It
Well,
depends on what you are
yeah.
like. Well, if someone came to you, generally, what I mean, I suppose there's so many flippin'
Well, I can take an
ailments, but
example.
like for
Yeah,
example, the kind of thing that
yeah.
people would
Well, my
come to you
daughter is
for.
special needs,
Yes.
and there's no ways I could have treated her homeopathically when she started with the seizures.
Okay.
So she gets
So
Ep.11 for
there's
seizures.
a place for
Yes, there is a
everything.
place, and there
Yeah.
was a time she had
Yeah.
a very severe pneumonia, and the cortisone and the antibiotics saved
You
her.
had to go that route.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think it's humbled me a little bit. My life has humbled me. You know, where I only grew up with homeopathy, and if you do that and you carry on in life in that way, and you think homeopathy is the only way, I think that's a mistake. So Maxine, you know, she with her disability came with, I would say, my pediatric course because
Yeah, it was
she
like your
was
training.
sick. Or yeah,
Yeah.
she was sick all the time, and I had to open up the doors to the doctors.
What if you can just explain a little bit of why was she sick? I mean, what was
Well,
I know you said a disability, but kind of
yeah, she
sick in
was.
what way? Like physically, just always not feeling well,
No,
or
she's got a mental
more
disability.
mental.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was born with a clubfoot,
Okay.
which can happen and it's normal.
Yeah.
And then we picked up that her head wasn't growing, so she needed surgery to craniostenosis repair, and then the brain didn't carry on growing. So we didn't quite know what we were sitting with. I guess the doctors kind of did, but you know, you're in a blur
It's just
when you
not
are
easy. Yeah.
when you receive a special needs child, and you really weren't expecting to deal with that in life.
For sure.
So anyway, it took about 10 months before we we found out, oh, she's a bit low muscle tone, and that's when all the physio and the OT and all
Okay.
of that started. And I think that's when reality hit me, that we have a disabled child. We don't know why. There's no syndrome. We had that all checked. But
like in your genetics or whatever the case may be. Yeah, in your history.
But I think
Yeah.
that maybe she might have had a stroke in utero.
Is that possible? Is that something that could happen? Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. Never even heard of that.
But it just needs to be a little thing in this, because the speech center never developed.
Okay.
And if you don't have a speech center, how do you grow your brain?
No.
Because
Yeah.
you're not stimulating it. So yeah, so she is what we consider profoundly disabled, not able to communicate, but she can move, and she can communicate by showing.
Okay.
You know, this is what she
Yeah,
wants, more
yeah.
water. Points to the TV.
Okay.
But there, yeah, so she's...
But like you're saying,
Humbling
it hasn't been
experience.
easy, of course.
No, it hasn't been
No,
easy. But yeah,
no.
she opened the doors
Yeah.
to needing to work with pediatricians and neurologists and things like that. So
And then I know you've got, what is that? You've got, it kind of guided you to open a place for special needs
yes.
people. What is that? Explain that a little bit as well, Michaela.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we don't have really many places here. I don't know if I can say South Africa, but in
But certainly
Johannesburg,
not where
Benoni,
we are. Yeah.
there aren't
Yeah.
any centres for special needs. They don't really cater, and they don't really cater for your profoundly special needs. There are places that are government run, like Felicitas, but apparently Maxine was too disabled for that.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
anyway, she went to Sunshine Centre.
Yeah.
That was a government-run centre, but a lot of these places, the age is limited. So once Maxine turned, I think it was to 9, then she had to leave.
Oh,
But
she was too old already.
Yeah, they still kept us going, because we kind of were part of the board and we were helping with fundraising. So they needed us. So they kind of kept her in for a while.
Kind
And
of a favour, in a
And then we
sense.
had to leave
Yeah.
eventually. And that's when we, in 2010, we joined up with a physio. And so we rented a little back garage place to grow a little school there. And then we needed to expand.
And what's it called?
It's called Apricot Tree.
Nice. I like the name.
Yeah, it was actually meant to be apple tree, but
Oh.
when
became
it got
apricot,
when it
but
got registered,
Apricot sounds good.
well, it has the sweet sour
Yeah.
aspect to life, yes. So it does
Yeah.
actually make more sense.
Yeah.
So then we my husband and myself decided just to see if we can buy a house and then create a sensory center for stimulation, you know, because these kids need stimulation.
So in what way? Like working with
All
clay,
of
that kind of
sensory,
thing?
physio stimulation, sensory walls. I spent a lot of time in pottery, making sensory panels out of clay, and it turned out to be a really beautiful school, and it grew. I mean,
It's been 14 years now.
yes,
It's a long time already, Michaela.
yeah. It grew.
And
So
how
we've
many
got a
kids are
baby.
there? How
We've
many
got a
kids are
baby
there?
side, and then we've got
Yeah,
the adult
okay.
side. So we bought a second house across the road.
It's in Northmead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Where in
and
Northmead?
11th Avenue near the Erasmus doctors.
Oh, there, yes.
Yeah, just
okay.
a few houses down from there.
So you got 2 houses, the one for the younger kids, one for the
For the
more
adults,
senior kids.
and young adults, and we getting a lot of older kids in, and what we do is we let them play a role in taking care of the school.
Okay.
So
Responsibility.
You're
Yeah,
kind of giving
yeah.
them a kind of a
Yeah.
purpose. They're doing
Yes.
something.
yes, they
Yeah.
need that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just sit at home.
No, for sure, and whatever, stare at TV or whatever the case may be.
That's it. I
Yeah,
mean, there's
no,
not
that's
much you
just
can
no
do
good.
with them, but it causes
Yeah.
a lot of frustration. So as much as we love doing the school, Maxine prefers to stay at home.
Does
Because-
she?
Yeah, because she... no,
Home
she's,
is still home.
no, because at school they make her like do the dishes, and she...
Oh, like she's
She's a real princess.
she's got too much.
She's
too
too
many
much of a princess.
responsibilities.
Yeah, no, she doesn't enjoy that. But no, it's good.
Shame,
It's good for her. They do need that
100%.
change, and yeah. So yeah, that was one of our projects, and it was a very much needed one. So if you asked me how many students, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure we're around about 30,
Okay.
20. I don't think we swing between 24 and
Yeah,
30.
but it's a reasonable number, and like you're saying, it's 2 houses.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
you've
well,
converted and changed or
yeah,
whatever the case
yeah.
is.
The baby side, they are quite profoundly disabled. Where the adult side, there are some adults that are actually they can do stuff. They can
Okay.
communicate. So
So is it, obviously it's a variety of different disabilities.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone,
Yeah.
you know, there's must be so many different, maybe each one's got a slightly different
Yeah, you have
issue as
cerebral
such, you
palsy
know?
is a very common
Okay.
one, but we have some syndromes as well,
For example,
like Angelman syndrome, Williams syndrome, um, um, and then I think we have one that's disability due to a car accident. So
okay.
we have a few of those too.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I guess I'm just trying to think. I mean, I am active in the school, but I haven't checked in to see what syndrome was.
Exactly, yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we have a variety of syndromes.
Have you got someone who's
Sparta's
kind of
another
the principal
Yes,
running it?
we have a
You,
principal.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
she's a gem.
And then a couple of
Yeah,
teachers and assistants or whatever the case may
lots of
be.
facilitators.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big responsibility to
Yeah.
to be helping people with
Yeah,
disabilities. You know, you need the right people with the right mental outlook,
Yes.
etc. I think.
It does take
eh?
it does take a certain special kind
Yeah,
of person to
it's
work
not for everyone, of
in that
course. Not easy.
environment.
Yeah,
No, if you're there
yeah.
for the money, well, then
You're
you're in
not
the
going to
wrong
be happy.
place.
Your heart has to be
No,
in
it's
it.
it's
Yeah.
definitely a place of where you, as a person, can do service, just from your heart and yeah, because the kids do bring you a lot of joy.
No, I'm sure.
The
and
simplicity
I
of
think
life
it's
yeah.
maybe brings you back
It's good
a little bit.
therapy, you know.
Yeah.
We have one girl who suffers from an eating disorder and is battling with life, and the suggestion was for her to come and help at Apricot Tree, and it's really healing her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it puts things into perspective.
Yeah. So it makes you less self-centered in that sense
Yeah.
as well, perhaps.
Very much.
Hey,
Very much.
kind of you
You
helping
get out of your own head.
out of your own. Yeah, because you're in your own head in that sense. Am I right? So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
eating disabilities, etc., or disorders, should I say?
Yeah.
It's a
yeah.
whole
Yeah,
more of a
so the
mental
people
game.
come there to heal.
Yeah.
The kids come there to have their friends and to feel like they can be
Yeah, they're
someone.
interacting, they're socializing. It's healthy
Where
for them.
the baby side, yeah, they still, you know, the parents with the younger kids, they're still going through a lot of trauma, you know, with hospitalizations when they get
Oh,
sick.
okay, getting
So it's
sick,
a different
etc.
world from the baby
Yes.
side to...
It becomes perhaps a bit easier over time.
Well, it did for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Maxine, it definitely
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
From the early days.
Yeah.
Sure, it's been a journey.
Yeah, it has. It's
Yeah.
not one that I would have said, right, in life, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And,
It wouldn't have been your first choice, no.
No,
No.
no, it wouldn't. But you know
Yeah.
what? I think from a young age, I've been drawn to being, you know, onto the spiritual path. And
Yeah.
I guess, you know, a spiritual path is not easy. It's not meant to be easy
No.
because you're meant to, you know, be challenged and
And there's no mistakes.
No,
There are
there's
no
no mistakes. Yeah, yeah. So no, it's I can
yeah.
embrace it.
Yeah.
But it was, I'm not gonna lie, it's
No, of
brought me to my
course.
knees,
No,
and it's been
some hard
humbling. And I
time,
even
yeah.
find I cannot be around people who haven't had some challenges in their life. Yeah.
Sure.
So-
No, it's a place we, you know, if you haven't had it, you don't know. You
Yeah.
don't
How
know.
does the homeopathy integrate into that, or is it a separate?
You mean into disability?
Yes.
Is there a
Not
place for it?
much,
Not really.
Not much.
Not
You,
really.
you know what? Maxine is on, if you look at the handful of supplements I give her, so there is definitely a place. Like they do suffer from a lot of anxiety and depression. So, and she's been treated with that naturally.
Okay.
So the only thing she's really on is something for her thyroid that's a bit underactive, and for her epilepsy, which she hasn't touched with has had in a long time. But for boosting, like for her bones, she has got osteoporosis. So I use natural medicine for that, and then her iron is low, so I supplement with that. So there's a good balance, I'd say. Yeah. And the homeopathy, I think, you know, we're not very big on jumping onto the antibiotic bandwagon. So she has had or needed some antibiotics, but we've managed to actually avoid what we could have given her. So she's had the bare minimum of antibiotics. We've managed to help her through her infections, and she's a lot better with it now. But yeah, so it did, as a homeopath, it did help her in the sense that we could boost her the way I know how to boost in homeopathy and keeping her healthy. Yeah, so it's absolutely. I use also a SCIO machine, and sometimes it's a good method of balance.
Please explain a SCIO machine. Maybe people don't really know what that is generally.
Yeah, the SCIO machine is it parts with it goes all in with like your electromagnetic fields,
The frequencies
and the balancing
within the
of
body.
that. Yeah, everything's a frequency.
So how does it actually work? You hold like something. Am I right?
No, you get strapped up.
Yeah.
So I used to do the one where you hold your hands.
So I've done that once
and
before.
you test the tips of the fingers, and I kind of feel if your hands were sweaty, the readings would be wrong.
Okay.
If your hands were very dry, then the readings would be wrong. So that system kind of frustrated me. But this one is where you get strapped up on the forehead, wrist, and ankles, and then you calibrate. So it means you tune into the person's electricity. Because, as you know, we are a bunch of cells, and each cell makes energy.
We energy.
And so we are electrical
It's phenomenal
beings.
stuff. I mean, we just see ourselves as a body, but there's so much more going on, you know.
No, for sure. So the SCIO kind of tunes into you. We call that calibration. And then the SCIO sends in over 10,000 different frequencies to see what matches up. Where are your imbalances? So it's not a machine to say, well, you have pancreas come up, there's a disease. It's just there's an imbalance. But then if you take a good history, you realize maybe the patient's having too much sugar.
Yeah.
You know, and it's putting stress on the pancreas. And then you can, it's basically almost a bit preventative and guidance to better health. So the SCIO kind of guides you into correcting that, like stop having your 2 liters of Coke a day. Because you know what, one day, that
Because
might...
one day...
Yeah.
You're going to tip the scale, and you're going to have a problem.
And if the family history shows that there's diabetes, then I strongly suggest that
Slow down.
Not even. It's a complete stop. And then also to do blood tests to see that they aren't there yet.
Is Coke Zero okay?
No. No, because the aspartame
It's
in
also
there is
no
a
good.
problem.
Does
Yeah.
it still trigger the insulin and...
It's got other side effects.
I believe it does.
But it's got other side effects, the aspartame.
Yeah, but the aspartame, it does affect you neurologically. It's a toxin to the nervous system.
Okay. So it's not an option.
No. You know what? I always think there needs to be balance. You know, if you're going out and you really want your Coke, then you have it.
Have a glass.
Yeah, just don't go home and have the 2 liter after that. You know, that's where even the caffeine stories too high. So the SCIO kind of guides people out of bad habits, and what's nice, they can see it on the screen. You know, that's the pancreas is taking a bit of strain, and if they know their family history and they're scared enough, they will probably stop.
And then would you take some of that report and maybe give supplements if necessary, or
and
give them obviously direct them on their diet and lifestyle a bit.
Yeah, that's why the consultation is an hour and a half long.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So no, you do guide them. The supplements is also incorporated into that. You give them homeopathic. If they need boosting, you boost with that. So I find the SCIO, I've been using it for over 20 years. Okay. So I find, and also it also touches on the emotions. It tells you where you're at emotionally. And for some parents, that's great, you know, to bring their kids and know, you know, they're not doing well at school. Why? Well, there's too much anxiety. There is depression. What's going on at school? You know, so it's
all
awesome.
Influences everything. It's not just
everything's connected.
The overthinking, the stress is affecting the adrenal glands or whatever in the body.
Yes.
And like a person's walking around in super stress mode all day long. That affects everything.
Well, we pick that up on the SCIO. Like James, my son, he was over adrenalized most of his early years. not knowing really why. But that was hard to treat. But at least the SCIO was telling me what was going on. And so we weren't going to psychiatrist to
Yes,
to find out what's
yes,
wrong with this
yeah,
child. I already knew it could
yeah.
tell. So the SCIO tests everything from minerals to vitamins to bacteria, viruses, bugs, emotions.
It's an incredible tool.
Yeah, you've got to know how to read it though.
Okay.
Because what comes up, it doesn't necessarily mean, like if it says diabetes, it doesn't mean there is diabetes.
Okay.
But then you need to ask the question, how much sugar are you actually having, and is there a history in it? And so you kind of have to work around it.
You've got to inquire a little bit,
Yeah.
get some
And then
history.
sometimes I've got to ask them, did you have jam
Before
on
you
bread this
came here,
morning? Yeah,
yeah, you just
So-
had ice cream on the way or what?
That's it, and that often
That will
is
also
the case
spark
too.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I've got to also be careful because, we also share frequencies, So when someone comes onto the SCIO and it looks a bit strange and, sometimes it's weird,
Yeah,
I might
it's
just ask, it's often with kids though. Then I often ask them, Mom, are you the one that's battling with depression?
Oh, in that sense, so
Yeah.
she's
Well,
the
children,
energy's getting
yeah,
shared here.
it can, especially with
Yeah,
babies.
that's you don't always
So-
consider that, eh?
Yeah, so you've got to
Yeah.
know, like I said, you've got to know how
Yeah.
to read it. You can't just conclude, and there are a lot of people that
But
actually
that's
have a
also-
SCIO and they don't know how to read it.
But that's also could be a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Now the mother's got all this anxiety, perhaps from the relationship with the father or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Now it's spilling out on the
Yeah.
child. Then
Yeah.
they've got to go a bit deeper into their own
Well,
relationships.
if they're open enough and
it's-
mature enough to see it
yeah.
that way, yes. And many are. I mean, if the kid wouldn't be with me to begin with if they're
True, they
screaming
would
a lot.
if they weren't
Then I
open-minded.
might just look at them. I might not even say, okay, it might be your depression, but I might just say, it looks like this kid's giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
So, do you need something, for relaxation? And then they often say yes.
What would you
So-
give for relaxation? What would be, I
Um,
mean, an option? If it's not homeopathy, if it's something that you could get at a health shop or
oh no, there's lots you can do. Yeah.
like, I mean, you don't want to go. Not like we're not talking Prozac here. We're talking
No,
more
no,
the
no.
natural stuff.
Yeah, of course. I wouldn't go the Prozac route.
I'm just
But I
joking.
mean, there's a lot of,
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of stress because most people's problems are, the root cause is something going on and it's stress. So one has to establish, is there depression? Then we use scaletium.
I've heard of scaletium.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
It's strong,
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to get a good brand, because in South Africa you do get some people that just pop up a business and put scaletium capsules together.
Where does it come? What is it? What is it? A plant?
Scaletium
What
is
is
a-
scaletium?
Well, it's
A
actually
mineral or what?
no, it's actually a fynbos.
Oh, is it a
It's actually a
fynbos?
local. Yeah,
Okay, I know the name. I don't know what it is, to
yeah,
be
it's a
honest.
local Cape
Okay.
fynbos
Yeah.
plant, and they used to use it. They used to call it kogoed.
Yeah.
To feel good.
Oh,
Chew. They used to chew
kogoed.
used to
Really?
chew the leaves.
Also, Bushman ecstasy.
Yeah.
Bushman
And I guess
ecstasy.
if you have a lot of it, you may have.
You
the
might have that
ecstasy.
experience.
Yeah, maybe too
Ask
much.
me why I know that.
Yeah. My own personal experience made me find it because
Okay.
of Maxine.
Yeah.
You can experience trauma. So someone told me I had a bit of chronic post-traumatic stress,
Yes.
and that I need to really get onto an antidepressant because my serotonin
Sure.
levels were so low. And I tried the antidepressant, but oh my goodness, no.
No good, eh?
No, the side effects
Yeah.
and things. So I then hunted down and I found scaletium. And in fact, I found scaletium before anybody found scaletium. And they were actually at the time where I ordered from exporting it, to Netherlands.
Okay.
And they were treating drug abusers with scaletium. So
Because it changes things in your
in
neurons
the
in the
brain,
brain.
yeah, the dopamine and the
levels.
serotonin, yeah.
Okay.
So
Sure.
I ordered it and I started taking it, and
Yeah.
I felt, wow, it's actually
You actually felt it. You
yeah,
could feel
yeah,
it.
yeah, you can.
No, that is. I didn't know it was
So it
used for that.
works.
To be honest, I didn't know.
Yeah, Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
knew
so
the
scaletium
kind
is
of
for
the term,
those.
you know.
So that's your natural antidepressant
Yeah.
that I use. I know there's things like saffron out there. I don't know much about saffron
Okay.
that they use because I haven't needed to move away from scaletium. It just seems to work well all rounder. Yeah.
It's interesting, and you know, I mean, I'm sure you're aware of this. I know it's not your expertise field, but they've started using psilocybin mushrooms for depression as well. Well,
Yes.
in treatment of people, and
Yeah.
I know they've been having, well, what I've seen in a lot of these reports, success.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
for people. So
Yeah,
it's just interesting.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
interesting.
The psilocybin,
Interesting days, you
I'm not
know.
against psilocybin at all.
Okay.
I feel I can have a better opinion if I've actually put
Yeah.
myself through like a
Yeah.
psilocybin journey. I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
I think one day that it will be
Yeah.
the right
One day.
time
Yeah.
because there are
In the
some
right setting, in the right
and the right person.
circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people also get on the bandwagon of the psilocybin.
No, no.
But
Suddenly,
I
it's
must
trendy,
admit,
and we're all doing it. I
yeah,
guess.
it's not something I think I will recommend Harry casually.
No.
I know that you can have a psilocybin experience and it's absolutely wonderful. But one of my patients went on a journey and
Okay.
her intent was to experience and feel love.
Yeah.
And she had nothing but 4 hours of hell.
Maybe
So
she got what she needed. Who knows? You know, that could
can
have
I
been
tell
another
you?
story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was
Shame.
quite
No, that is not
traumatized.
easy.
But you know what? If you actually go into her life story and stuff, and maybe she hasn't dealt with
Yeah.
the majority of it, that actually what's
And that's what
surfaced
sparked that.
for her to see. But you
Yeah.
don't know every person,
No,
and that they
no.
might react the same way. Could be
Yeah,
quite
I
traumatic.
think it's a personal thing, and you don't go out there trying to promote. People will, it'll come to them as well.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I think perhaps
when the time is ready.
yeah. So psilocybin needs to be treated with respect, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and I
Yeah.
think in a way, I think they're doing it in this country as well. That's why it's more clinically done now, and they're
Yeah.
busy testing, etc., etc. The effects, and you know what? If it takes some, and I did see something. Some people had it literally took them off all
All the
the
drugs,
pills they
yeah.
were taking
Yeah.
for like literally up to a year or longer.
Yes.
You know, depending on the person, and you know, it's not like they're going to start taking that every day.
No.
They have
Well,
maybe perhaps one. I know you can
do low dose.
microdose in
You
it,
can
but I
microdose,
think
yeah.
if someone has taken it and they've worked through a lot of the
Their stuff.
issues in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
state,
Yeah.
they're able to shift through that, like PTSD as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? It assists
Absolutely.
with that as well.
Yeah. I
So
think there needs
there's
to
a
be a
place.
certain
There's a place.
Yeah, there needs to be a certain level, I think, of awareness.
Yeah.
You know,
And responsibility.
when something does come up that isn't great, that you have enough awareness to just allow it to, move through your body. But if there's resistance in it,
Yeah.
I think it could.
You're gonna suffer a bit
So there
through it.
needs to be kind of a know-how how to do it, and the same goes with cannabis.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
What
know.
are your views on cannabis?
I don't have a problem with cannabis. I think it's medicinal to me. That's the way I see it. Teenagers, not so much when they use it. I think
They're
they do it
abusing it a
more.
bit.
Yeah, I don't think they use it medicinally as much as this 18-year-old patient of mine says, no,
Recreationally.
it's medicinal, he tells me, and I'm like, I don't know so much. He was trying to convince his parents it was medicinal.
Yeah. Get me a script, Mom.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the thing is, I think the psilocybin and cannabis have their medicinal and very, very good medicinal purposes. So I do recommend it. Just
In certain instances.
for people
Yeah.
who and get the proper product as well. And the thing is, it's absolutely a no-no for people with anxiety. If they're trying it the first time, if they suffer from anxiety,
It's not going to be good for them.
Yeah. When I was a student, we were all sitting watching this polo game, and there was these muffins, and no one told me about those muffins. And
The friendly muffins.
yeah, and no one told me though, and it was absolutely bad.
Did they not?
They didn't
They were like,
tell
yeah,
me.
They
No, they didn't
you
offer
hungry?
it. No,
They
they
didn't
didn't
offer
offer
it.
it.
You just
It was
thought-
part of the picnic. So I did take a muffin. I even thought it wasn't really that great either. You know.
Who baked this thing?
Yeah, but listen, that's you can't do that
And
to
it wasn't.
people.
That wasn't fun
Yeah, well,
because you didn't know what's happening. You think you're
well, with
freaking
my
out.
adrenaline issues, that what did. It
It
actually
sent
put
you
me
a little bit. Yeah.
it sent me into a real panic
Shame,
state.
yeah.
And so, yeah, people mustn't think that you can just play and give it to people with anxiety.
As a joke,
It's quite
or like,
bad.
you know, that, especially like you're saying, teenagers, ha ha ha,
Got you.
I gave it to this, I didn't tell him, and you know,
Yeah,
and
no.
ha 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 afterwards. It's not. It's
No.
actually not.
It
It's
actually
not
can,
clever.
it can
No.
send you into
Yeah.
psychiatric, because at
Yeah.
that time I was a student, and there was an article of a surfer who the same thing happened, and he was put into a psychiatric hospital.
He just lost the plot.
He lost the plot, and I kind of felt a bit better in the sense that, you know, okay, this happens, and you know, I suppose that's where you just know when something happens, there's a reason, and I had to learn from it. And so I did. I understand anxiety, so when I see people, patients, I can kind of really empathize with them and guide them
Yeah.
on how
Yeah.
to
You
to
coming
work their
from that
mind
place
around
of
anxiety.
knowing you've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
it was just preparing me for, you know, 2020, etc. Because the anxiety
Yeah.
has really escalated
Yeah.
in the last while.
You mean just in general
Yeah,
as well?
yeah. Lots
Yeah.
of kids as
Mental
well.
issues and stress. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, talking about anxiety, and then I use L-theanine for that.
I don't know
And
what that is.
L-theanine works.
Also some kind of a herb.
No, it's actually an extract from green tea.
Okay.
So it's an amino acid. And L-theanine is a natural anti-anxiolytic, you can say.
So it
Some,
helps to calm a bit.
yeah, it breaks anxiety in
Okay.
20 minutes. So
That's quick.
yeah,
Hey, that's quick. 20 minutes.
I mean, that's,
yeah.
Yeah.
But there is there's a cutoff. People are sometimes beyond L-theanine.
Okay.
They
Okay.
actually,
Depends on
this is
how.
when you need to actually
Yeah.
go on to some scheduled medicine.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that happened to me when Maxine was born, with the drop of hormones, and already being prone to anxiety. It spun me into really an anxiety that rescue couldn't work with, or St. John's work. Nothing would work in that kind of anxiety. So I was medicated for a short while, for about 3 months.
But like you were saying earlier on, the meditation also assists you.
I don't think I was.
No?
Maxine's 25, so
But I
25
mean
years
now
ago.
for nowadays, you
Oh,
know.
now, you know what?
The no, I'm
Now
saying
you just see the
yeah,
anxiety and you like,
it's changed.
yeah, totally.
So would you,
Totally.
like if you had someone come along, would you recommend perhaps meditation to someone? If you're saying,
Yes.
yeah, you would. You'd say, listen,
So,
try this, but also try just slowly
yeah.
sitting and
So
quietening, try
when
to
when it
quieten
comes
yourself.
to bad anxiety, like after Maxine's birth anxiety, you cannot teach meditation in that state of where you are so sucked
It's
into you
too
cannot.
deep.
Yeah, you actually need a drug
Okay.
to get you out of that first. So so that meditation at that point,
It
no.
wouldn't have
You
helped
can't
you.
even
Yeah.
discuss how you're going to manage your thinking process around stress, because that anxiety is all consuming.
Yeah.
It's a horrible, horrible, horrible,
So
horrible thing.
initially the muti would help you to work through it, and at a later stage, once
No, the
things
muti
have
just sets your
settled.
brain out of that anxiety.
Oh, is that all it really does?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't help you work through it.
Okay.
You have to help yourself
Yeah.
work through it.
Yeah.
But with the 3 months that I was on, I was working through it with it.
Okay.
So once, I mean, there's triggers to anxiety. If you're not sleeping, that is a huge trigger into
I
into
can
being more
imagine.
anxious
Yeah.
around
If
life.
you don't sleep well, you just don't.
Yeah,
You
no,
don't
sleep is to
operate
me your
correct.
number one. If
Yeah.
you're not sleeping well, I kind of
Yeah.
say you've got to get that right first, because that's when your brain detoxes. It detoxifies in deep sleep. So sleep is very, very important in good mental health. Meditation helps with that when
Yeah.
you know how to do it properly. But if you're still stuck in mind and you haven't trained yourself to take a step away and see it, then you're still caught up in your stress.
Well, you got to be meditating. You're just going to be thinking
Yeah.
in that meditation.
Yeah. And then you're going to get frustrated and
Anyway.
stop. No, well, then that's why
Yeah.
people don't carry on with meditation, because they are still feeling the same, and they're you
No,
know.
it didn't do anything.
And also, you know, I know how persistent I had to be to get into the habit.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed in my rooms when I have to counsel most patients out of stress, that they hear me, but 95% of the patients don't actively do the work. And
that's
so,
doing the work is the key.
yes, they don't do the work. They either not ready, or they don't have time, or I
they
don't
don't
know.
make time.
Or but I just kind of think maybe they're not there yet.
They're not ready for it.
Yeah, and then you have your small portion where you say, well, listen to these talks, do these breathing exercises, get your diet right. And I don't often, like, meditation isn't on the top of the list, because I think you kind of have to figure that out.
Okay.
You know, that I'd
But you're
like
getting a
to.
bit of a guideline as to a possible
Yeah.
a solution
I
to
tell them,
their mental
I don't call it
stress.
meditation so
Okay.
much. What I tell them,
Yeah.
you need to just sit up in the morning, just for 15 minutes to half an hour, and just sit and watch your thoughts.
Okay.
There's no,
Yeah.
you know, and just keep on watching your thoughts,
Yeah.
and just be curious about them, be intrigued by
It's a
them.
start. It's awareness.
Yeah,
It's
and
awareness,
you have to
Michaela.
start somewhere. And,
Yeah.
and the thing is, I give them like the Insight Timer WhatsApp, not WhatsApp, Insight Timer app to
I've
just
seen it.
maybe use the music to do a bit of calming, yoga. A lot are open to yoga now, so that's also a starting point.
It's a starting
yoga,
point, 100%.
because the breathing is very important, and the stretching, and they do feel a bit of more mental balance around that. But the meditation thing is a thing you need to say, I want to do it, and I'm going to do it.
I still remember when I first started meditating, you don't know how to meditate.
No.
You don't know how to do it. You just, start meditating. But for years, the meditation, I'd gone for like to a psychologist who used to take me. I used to have my hands were full of warts when I was a kid, and then they went away, and then they came back when I was married already. I was like 30, in that area, and it was weird. Like when I say covered, like all along the fingers, but it was the same as when I was a kid. And then I met a guy who was a psychologist. Well, he was actually training to be a psychologist.
Yes.
He wasn't a qualified one. He was like, "No, come and see me." And he took me into hypnotherapy and kind of into past life stuff. And I went to him for, I don't know, it must have been every Saturday for, say, 3 months. And I saw my hands in the hypnotherapy, etc., etc. And they disappeared.
Yeah.
It was quite incredible.
Because it's supposed to be a virus or something.
Yeah, and you're always trying to and I think I was treating it in some way as well, putting some kind of
but there's definitely an emotional connection to warts, no doubt.
And they they disappeared. It was actually quite a miracle in a sense.
Yes.
So then, in my meditations, I started this whole thing he used to take me on. I used to do it in my head. So it was a mental exercise.
Yes.
Because at that stage I didn't see the thoughts as I thought the thoughts were just the thoughts. You don't know that there's a place behind the thoughts and you can observe the thoughts. And then only in the last, I don't know, 15 years or whatever years that I start getting to the place where you would watch, etc., etc. But it was an interesting process, where you didn't know you could just sit and just be still.
Yeah.
Without, or just observing,
Yeah.
But I just found it amazing how that shifted it. It was, it went.
Yeah. Was the start of everything, hey?
Early days,
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah. No, but the warts are an emotional, strong emotional connection.
And when you're a kid, it's a self-worth thing. No, you walk around with this with your kids, you're embarrassed and you flip and your Chinese think you're some freaky yoke and will touch you. You got leprosy.
Gonna catch it.
No, it's something. Yeah, but now that you look at it in hindsight, it's like there's no mistakes.
Yeah.
Everything just kind of works its way, and
it does.
Often I think we just want to force life and push it. But it's all more about, it's more about being and allowing life to just do its thing.
Yes.
Than trying to
Yeah.
change everything or just to suit us all the time.
That's
and
true.
it can be, like you're saying, it can be humbling when you go through some tough times.
Yeah.
you know, because everyone's been through tough times, whether it's emotionally or financially or whatever the case is, and you learn from those things.
Yeah.
And if you don't learn from them, maybe you're turning to not good things, like alcohol, for instance.
Yeah, well, that's just
No?
to really keep down your stuff that you
Just
need
to
to
like
work through.
suppress the.
Yeah. I think there's a huge mind shift that is necessary. You know, we kind of emphasize too much in the outside world, and that, you know, it needs to be a certain way for me to be happy. So meaning, if the river runs smoothly, that's cool because then you're okay. But if rocks are thrown in the river and it causes rapids,
You're not
then
happy
suddenly
now.
you're not okay. So what humans do is they just are trying to sort out the river and its rapids and get rid of the rocks, instead of seeing what is it doing inside me, and what I need to let go.
And flowing with the river instead of trying to flip and
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
fight the
and I
stream.
think that's where the world is going to,
Yeah.
is that there's a lot of, I can't say there's a lot of disorder in the world, but I think maybe people have more of an expectation for it to be perfect. You know,
And I think in a sense, so especially with so much information all day long,
yeah,
people are it's just giving them that anxiety. They're getting, oh, look what's going on in China, what's going on in America,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and they just believe everything that
yeah.
they're seeing. I'll be honest, I don't watch the news. I don't watch news. What comes to me, I hear about it. I don't sit there watching
Yeah,
the news.
they do the same.
I don't feel like I don't need to know. If I need to know something, it's going to come to me.
You have no
Exactly.
power over
I've
it.
got no power of what happens out there anyway.
Yeah, well, that's where the mind shift comes in. That's where meditation
Yeah.
comes in too. Is where you become the observer, how your mind deals with the outside world, and then realize that that actually causes you more distress than anything else. To not put so much emphasis on what's going on in the outside
Yeah.
world. It's actually none of our business. The
What's
outside
yeah,
world is not
exactly.
actually our business,
No.
even though we think it should be, because we should be able to what. But I don't know. My life's lessons have let's put it this way: I'm done with the outside world, and I'm quite happy to just really.
Enough.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't actually mind what's happening on the outside world. It's going to happen, with or without our opinion, anyway.
It's out of our hands.
Yeah, exactly.
We can take care of
It's-
ourselves and our immediate people around us and what's going on inside of us. We can
Yeah.
be aware of that.
And you know
Are
what?
you at peace,
Yeah.
or have you got a consistent anxiety, or are you stressing all day long about general
Yeah.
small things in life, never mind big flipping things?
Yeah.
Then you're
That's
not
it.
in a good space.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find if there's a constant peace and a sense of contentment, then you don't really need more than that.
Yeah. Well, listen, the only peace you're going to find is the one inside.
That's the only one.
That's
It's the only one that
yeah.
exists,
Yeah.
really.
And the peace is not a mind thing. The peace is a feeling thing. So it
Exactly.
is stepping away from the mind thing, what we define as peace in the
Yeah.
human world. It's different to when you actually become the observer. The peace is just really an experience.
It's actually it's almost it's like it's your natural state in
it's
a
your
sense.
yeah,
It's your natural
yeah.
state.
And I know
Yeah.
people, they want to be there. They want that happiness of that peace. That's what we all want. But we kind of think it needs to exist in the outside world to be a
That was
certain way.
looking for it outside.
Yeah. And coming
Yeah.
back to meditation, the meditation's really just to train you into that peace. That's all it is. But you can't do it if your mind is still dominating.
And it becomes familiar to you.
Yeah.
You become more familiar with it.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
I think that's how it expands, and
Well,
it carries into
I
your
think
life.
the trick is not to take the mind seriously.
Yeah. And
trick
not
is
believe
not to believe
don't
it.
believe it.
You don't believe anything
Believe
it
the
says.
stories.
Yeah.
I promise you, people.
Yeah.
So this conditioning, these thoughts that are telling you things need to be a certain way, things in order to be happy, we don't stop listening to them,
Yeah,
because we can just be happy.
That's it.
Okay.
Exactly that.
You
see the thoughts and you think, okay, I've heard that before,
Yes.
or interesting, but you don't like. There's this saying that I actually absolutely love. I don't know who the guru was, but he said you leave the front door open and the back door open. You let the thoughts go through.
Okay.
Do not invite them in for tea.
You know, you said quite interesting
Yeah.
things. So we had a lady on here called Lelania,
Yes.
and she was like, you know, you must put the mind in the back seat and put a
Yes.
muzzle on it.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Yeah.
like you're driving, put a muzzle on it. So
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
It was just quite an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
It was funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's still going to want to speak
It's
after you've
gonna want,
taken the. So you can muzzle it for a while, and you can use your
but
will.
it's gonna want to pull that thing off.
Yeah, you will. But you know, and you know what? Then something happens that you didn't have a preference for, or yeah, something happens, and then that muzzle will come right off.
Yeah, quickly.
Yeah, and it will have
And
lots
it's gonna
to
jump.
say.
It's gonna jump into the driver's seat and try and drive the car. You know.
Exactly. So we can will that to shut up, but actually I think in the end it's to welcome it in, to still remain an observer of the conversation.
And just let it be.
And then maybe use your proper intellectual mind. Your proper intellectual mind to think, you know what, that driver in front of me, you know, it took them 13.8 billion years to be there. You know, from when Earth started, the Earth's 4.5 billion, you know, years old. And, you know, and guess what? Right at this moment, science has brought this situation in front of me. Maybe I just need to accept that the old person still can drive. And,
Even
you know,
though
it's
even
nice
though not the
for
way I
them.
want him to drive.
Yeah, no, but you know what? And this is something I've been learning. There's a cost benefit, okay, analysis, okay, in business. I mean, you're not going to be in business if that's going to cost you.
Yeah.
You're going to drop the business, right? And the same goes with our thoughts. If we're arguing with the patient, or not patient, the person in front of us, and, you know, who's at cost here?
Exactly.
It's yourself.
For sure.
So you know what, if it's in the driver in front of you is oblivious to your conversation and how you're feeling about it.
You're actually giving your power away to it.
Yeah, well,
in a sense.
you do.
You know?
It's 100% cost to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. So
It doesn't affect him at all.
the intellectual mind needs to set in and say, okay, you know what, I can carry on with this because you know it will be at cost to me, or I can just say, okay, let it go. 13.8 billion years, it's wonderful. Look at the sun. You know, we've got our own personal star, and to actually distract yourself out of that. But the only reason you would have reacted like that anyway is because you haven't sorted some
You
stuff
got him
out.
triggered.
Yeah, you got triggered.
So I wanted to just touch on, you know, so a lot of people like if we talk about and we say, you know, overthinking or etc. is mental suffering, which it pretty much is.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, it's an example for our, you know, for viewers. So now, say you got a girlfriend, and you've had maybe a couple of weeks or whatever the case is, and you're so overly in love, etc., etc. But now this day, you're trying to get hold of her, and she's not picking up, and straight away, the thoughts are, I don't know, she's having an affair, she doesn't love me, she's, I don't know, lying in a ditch. There's a train of thoughts that is just starts steamrolling.
It's called tea time.
A train of thoughts.
Yeah.
And perhaps she just left her phone, is in the car, in a handbag.
Yeah.
But your head is flying at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And that is pure suffering going on there. That is stress to another level.
Yes.
And basically what has happened is the mind has just created a story. Out of fear. There's a fear.
Yes.
That is pure fear that's happening there. But it's a whole story of bullshit. It's pure suffering. But how many, I mean, I can say for myself, when I was younger, I would have had the same thing. You know, freaking out.
Yeah.
But now you won't do that because you'll be like, no, there'll be a logical reason what's happening. She doesn't have a phone, or whatever the case is. But but for the majority of people, they'll get lost in that story.
Yeah, they get caught up. Yeah.
And that's just one example. That can be happening all flipping day long.
Yeah.
And that's giving you a lot of stress.
Yeah. And the thing is, the Byron Katie's quite good. She asks the question, do you know that for sure? That's an easy question.
Just say that to yourself. Do you know that for sure?
Before I'm going to go there, Do I know that for sure?
Yeah.
And I mean, we really never really know anything for sure, but then you need to say, well, stop right now because you don't actually know. 'Cause
Slow down.
if you do go into tea time with that story, and you walk out of there with anxiety,
time, I like that.
it's all based on a lie.
It's a lie that
You
you've
know,
fed yourself pretty
and this
much.
is where we lie to ourselves when we come up with stories. So the best questions to ask: do I actually know that for sure? And if you don't, you need to train your mind to say, okay, I don't know that, let it go. So then that thought might come in again, the anxiety, you know, I still don't know that for sure.
You got to keep reminding
And you
yourself
have,
that
and
story.
and this is the thing, when it comes to spiritual growth or bettering your levels of consciousness, and that all involves practice. It really,
Seeing it,
really
practicing it.
practicing
You can't
it.
do it once and you're going to be cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
You might be 5 minutes in the story of something might have happened, or maybe she's breaking up with me, or whatever, and then you will learn after 5. Hang on, I asked the question, do I know that for sure? Then I could stop. Some people will be in it half a day, and then they ask the question, and then
Or they
they'll
might
stop.
be in it for 3 days.
But,
until
and,
they
or 3
see it.
days, yeah. And the thing is that you as you train yourself, you can catch yourself right at the beginning. And have that fear that something might have happened, then you say, no, I don't actually know that for sure. Then that's what practice does. Your
100%.
timeline of
Yeah.
being stuck in a story mentally,
It
gets
gets
better
shorter.
and better. Yeah.
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 And also, so
So
carry on.
would a good practice be almost changing that bad kind of interpretation of what you think is happening into something good? Expect, maybe she's gone to buy me a gift because she loves me so much, or is it just be somewhere in the middle? Don't presume anything.
I think to snap out of the very negative, going and thinking on a very positive will help.
It
will help.
will assist you,
Yeah.
but if you can do that, it's also maybe not that easy. You know, when that mind's grabbed that topic and now it's been
Yeah.
running with it.
Yeah. But the positive thinking is definitely, I think,
It's better than not.
a good
Yeah.
practice to snap out
Yeah.
of. You see, the thing is, I think ultimately in the end we are flowing energy, Shakti. And the goal is to stay open. Okay, things like that, where you assume something's going wrong, is going to shut you down straight away.
It's going to close your whole energy body up.
So the aim and goal is to stay open. So if you catch yourself in the mode of something might have happened, or and to snap out and say, you know what, she might actually be, organizing my birthday party.
She might be fine. Who knows?
And then you'll be open again. You can actually feel the energies opening and shutting. And this is also when you sit and be mindful around your thoughts, and you in meditation, even watching your thoughts, how you feel your body closes up the moment your mind track goes into something negative. So it's always about teaching yourself to being more aware of how you feel. You can be madly in love with someone, and then they forget to call you, and suddenly you just shut down like that.
It's
and
crazy.
You do the opening and the shutting
and
yourself.
we've all been there. We've all felt that.
Yeah.
Suddenly, like.
Yeah.
But it was all fine at the end of the day. But you physically, mentally, you were suffering over it.
I think this is also where keeping a journal is quite good.
Yeah.
Where you write down your thoughts as a early on practice. I don't journalize anymore. But
I did it for a while. It's a good practice.
The good practice is to take the journal after 3 months and read it again.
Look at that stuff.
And you think, oh my word, I did that once. I read through a journal 4 years back. And I'm thinking, I'm still dealing with the same problems. Really.
But then
that's
not a bad thing, because now you know.
Yeah.
Like this, I've got to work through this stuff now.
Yeah.
You know.
Not only that, our
Yeah.
minds constantly repeat the same old stuff. We have the issues around the same old things.
The same stories.
Yes, and you know what? We're wasting time. We're wasting time.
But that also keeps us out of the moment, Michaela.
It does.
It's the stories of going through all these stories all the time. You're not in the moment. You're living out there in your mental story.
It's called being distracted.
You're distracted. You're distracted with what's going on the outside.
Yeah. Like I sometimes take the analogy, when a hammer falls onto your toenail, you're distracted into ow, it's
Yeah.
so sore. Now life does that.
Yeah.
We get distracted into, now I don't necessarily need to be distracted by my toe that's hurting, because there's an essential part of us that's still existing in the body. And you can actually stand in that awareness
Yeah.
while the toe is throbbing. It's almost like you've divorced yourself from the toe. But
You've
that's
distanced
it's
yourself from
holding
that a bit.
it's holding that awareness through the pain and still being
Yeah.
aware that there is the observer. And the toe throbbing is just the observing that there is pain there, and not completely mentally and
Getting lost
going
on just
in-
the toe.
Yeah, where that's what happens in life.
Yeah.
Someone says something ugly, and then that's the sore toe throbbing toe, and then you throw yourself completely into that.
But that also boils down to, like you were saying, certain issues, triggers that are coming up. So
Yes.
it's such an holistic thing, spirituality, I think. Well, through my, like our journeys, is awareness, spiritual practice, and working through your pain body, through your issues, through you get triggered because there's something in your past that's
you've stored,
playing
yeah.
out. It's being stored. It's
Yeah.
coming out again. So you can say to somebody, "Yeah, just don't do that." But if it's there, it's there. You can't just trigger. You can't just control that.
Yeah,
You can be aware of it happening, but
yeah.
if it's coming, it's coming.
Well, I had a trigger the other day.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, this mom brings in the baby, but it was actually more for its allergies, not for its sleep issues. And this baby is tired now, and he starts having a temper tantrum. 9 months old.
And he's freaking out.
And I'm telling you, he's so zoned in his screaming that you couldn't snap him out with nothing.
Red faced and all.
Half an hour. And, it just reminded me of how my kids used to scream. And I actually was so shook up.
You're like, "Argh."
No, I felt, actually I wanted to cry.
Oh, really?
No,
Shame.
because the thing is, it's actually quite traumatic to see a kid scream this way. But I mean, 9 months is quite young, although my kids screamed like that too. Maxine used to, and you couldn't snap them out of it. It was a temper tantrum that just continued.
Shame, man. Yeah, it's just not lekker.
Yeah, no, and so that was stored stuff when my kids went through that.
And that was a while
know?
ago.
And that was part of my trauma. And you just take that adrenaline into play. And it became a trauma for me. Not every mother has a child like that and then falls apart when they scream half an hour. The mom coped quite fine.
She was quite used to
But
it.
I was kaput. So when my next patient came, I was like, you know what? I'm still a little rattled. So just give me a minute. And I actually was rattled in my body. And the adrenaline was still working through me.
It kind of played it out again.
Yeah,
20-year-old stuff.
Yeah. So what you actually need to do is, okay, something's been hit here, and my stored stuff is coming out. So it's like, come out.
Let it out.
I need to feel the anxiety. I need to sit, and when you've practiced observing enough, you can sit and just be an observer and relax in the movement of anxiety coming through, and actually just know that it's just something that needs to be worked out
and
of the
also, if
system.
there's emotions, allow them out. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't do it while you got your next patient.
Yeah, I
But,
had to take a minute with some tears, and
But that's where the healing comes. You're letting this stuff
you've got
out.
to. You see, the thing is,
Yeah.
you don't want to store it any longer,
No.
because the storing of your stored stuff really is what, which makes you suffer.
It's like
The stored stuff
it's
suffers
like
you.
poison to us in a sense. It's just not good for us.
It's
Eh?
like having gone to, a restaurant and you had a bit of food poisoning from the food.
And then you want to keep it in.
And what we do is we tell the guy, could you just put some in a doggy bag because I'd like to take it home.
yeah, for later.
Yeah, for like, and that's what we do with our stored
I'm
stuff.
gonna keep it in the fridge. Don't worry.
Or maybe not.
Oh, that is terrible.
No, but it's true.
No,
though.
but it's funny.
We store our bad stuff like we store bad food. So we've got to
I like
actually
the
let it go.
comparison. I like
Back of
that.
the
Yeah.
fridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. We don't touch it for a while, but then it comes occasionally.
Actually, I use the analogy with patients a lot. It's like storing your child's dirty nappies in the back of your back. And every now and again you take one out and you just,
And you get a whiff.
yeah, yeah, and I get rid of those
Oh,
nappies.
shame, man.
Yeah, but we need to want to do that though.
Yeah.
I think we need to get to a point where suffering is,
We've had
don't
enough.
like it.
You've had
Yeah,
enough.
you don't like it and
Yeah.
you're actually now ready. And that's
Yeah.
why I say when it comes to actually actively doing meditations and things, it really has to be, you know what, I really do need to change now.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure how many people are there yet. They are getting there,
I
but
think they're
there's
getting
not,
there, but it's time, and it's taking also responsibility for all of your not so
Yeah.
nice things.
yeah,
Because, you know, we
Yeah.
also think we kind of these perfect specimens, but people are carrying so much, you know, like it's a lot of like pretense, you know. I'm the happy-go-lucky, but meanwhile I've got so much stuff stored that's not happy-go-lucky. It's stuff that
Yeah.
needs to be released out of me,
Yeah.
you know. And to admit, listen, that's it's there, and I got to work with it.
yeah,
And only by dropping all that stuff do you really find your authentic self,
yeah,
who you truly are.
yeah.
You're not all those stories that
I
are
think
going
this
on.
is where you need, and I think that was my turning point in spirituality,
Mm.
having listened to Wayne Dyer and Baron Katie and Don Miguel Ruiz. I did a lot of reading. I think that needs to be a phase in someone's life where they
Yeah.
are seeking spiritual
Yeah.
knowledge and stuff. And even having done Reiki, Reiki Masters, and all of that. And until I did that course, and they said we need to do the disidentification exercise. And that's when everything started making sense. That's where Eckhart Tolle started making sense. It's the disidentification that I am my body,
Yeah.
that I am my mind, and I am my emotions.
Yeah.
We actually need to, and it took me, I'm not going to lie, maybe 6 weeks till the penny dropped what that actually meant.
Yeah. Because it's not straightforward.
No, you know what, you can hear it with your mind, but to actually really understand it with your soul, it took a lot of repetition of that this identification exercise to repeat that I have a body, but I'm not my body. I have my body for movement. There's a intellectual reason for body. Sometimes it's healthy, sometimes it's sick. I have a body, but I'm actually not my body. So to actually understand that, you know, that you're not your actual physical being. So when you're getting old, it's just something you observe. You don't like, oh my God, I must stop those
It's more
wrinkles.
accepting. You're more accepting of
Yeah, it is. It
of
is that. And then
the
when you have
body's
your
changing,
emotions,
etc.
that I have emotions.
Yeah.
There are emotions.
I'm not
But
the
I'm not.
emotions.
I'm not even the
Yeah.
happiness
Yeah.
that the emotion can be, or the sadness that I'm neither. We always think we need to be happy and be identified with happiness. So I'm neither of those. I have emotions; they come and go, and so I have emotions, but I'm not those. And then the mind, I have a mind, but I'm not my mind either. It's only really uses for intellectual use.
Yeah.
You know, it's not used to change things and stuff like that. And so, and then you end it off by I am pure self consciousness, and it
Yeah.
I don't know,
You
had a whole page.
yeah.
For,
What I feel is that you're like when you're saying you're observing the thoughts. You
Yeah.
are that space that's
Yeah.
observing.
yeah,
That's what you are. You're that stillness,
Yeah.
that peace that is observing.
yeah,
And you're on the body, but
yeah.
you,
So the
you're within the
disidentification
body.
helped that.
Yeah. So that's
It
part of
helped.
it, really.
When you suddenly listen to Eckhart Tolle and you think, dude, he actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's when I went into Eckhart Tolle mode.
Okay.
Because he speaks of formlessness and form. And that's what I understood. The form is the mind, the emotions, and the body is part of form.
Yeah, those are forms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the formlessness is your
But
spirit.
it's an interesting journey, Michaela.
Yeah, it's a lot
But it
of
never
learning.
ends.
No, it never ends.
The
No,
awareness is
I
always shifting,
doubt.
it's changing, and
Yeah.
you're always learning new things. I think it's just a unfolding,
Yes.
and you just become, I think, more allowing of just life to work through you, and accepting of where life takes you instead of trying to control it. You know.
Yeah, most try
Yeah.
to control it still.
But on that note, Michaela, It's been fabulous having you here. And
Yes.
it's been amazing
Cheers.
chat and
Thank
a
you.
blessing. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Russell,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
yeah, it's been an enlightening
Really
experience.
has. Yeah.
Please like and subscribe.
Cheers.
Cheers.